I've been a member of Jasmin since I was like 18 years old, 18 or 19. I don't remember how I found it because that was over 10 years ago, but it was one of your advertisements. Yeah, I'm 32. That was one of the advertisements. Click on, and then yeah, I've been on it ever since.
So you've been a member for 14 years.
13 or 14, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It doesn't show that on my account.
I don't know because
Oh, okay.
I don't see the account. I just
Okay.
got your information from the survey.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, I've been a member for a long time.
I love that. Okay, cool. So you can talk to me about the different changes. Um, there's been a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, talk to me about that. So, through all of the changes, what do you think has kept you loyal to Jasmine?
Um, I couldn't say any of the changes made me loyal. It was really just the site itself and, getting out there and talking to other people. So I wouldn't say any of the changes necessarily kept me around, but I do like the cam to cam option that lets you talk to somebody face to face. That was nice. Uh, and the audio if I, didn't feel like being on camera. But yeah, no, I like both of those features. I like being able to talk to different people and like still stay in my calm house.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it sounds like, like you mentioned the cam to cam, the audio, both of those
Mhm.
are, I would say, kind of upgraded features in the sense that they also provide maybe a deeper level of connection with the model than what was available before.
I agree to that. I like I said, it wasn't necessarily something that kept me around, but I do like the feature, and I mean, it could have been. Uh, yeah, like I said, I can't say that it kept me around. I'd say that the people I talked to kept me around, but the feature was a nice addition.
So your relationships with the models is what's kept you
Yes.
on the platform for so long.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite model?
Yes, I do.
And how long have you been seeing your favorite model?
She had a older account, but almost 3 years now.
3 years. Okay. Well, so I'm going to guess though that throughout your 13, 14 years on the site,
Yes,
there
there
have been
was
other
other.
favorites.
Yeah, there were other girls. I mean, they either aren't on the site. Yeah, I don't think they're on the site anymore. But yeah, no, Elise is almost as soon as she started, I found her, and yeah, I connected with her and talked to her quite often. I still talk to her almost every day.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you enjoy so much about her?
She is extremely nice and she's easy to talk to. That I'd say it's that she's easy to talk to. And she's really always happy. She's almost never in a bad mood.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's nice to connect with. Someone
Yeah.
that's really positive and you mentioned she's really easy to talk to.
Yes.
Someone listening might say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why do you care about her being easy to talk to? Because this is a site that is just about sexual content.
Yeah, well, it isn't necessarily always just about sexual content then. That would be what I would have to say about that. It's nice to get to talk to other people from other places as well.
So you feel like friendships are formed on the site.
Yes, at least a few. I wouldn't say I became friends with every model I ever interacted with, but there's been a handful of them for sure over the past, 12, 13 years that I became friends with. It is not why I got on the site, but that's probably what kept me around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That makes sense. So maybe the sexual content got you in the door, but it sounds like the connections you've made have kept you on the site.
Yes.
If you could describe in one word what your favorite model makes you feel, how would you describe that feeling?
Well, I don't want to use the generic happy, but that's honestly what I'd go for. Makes me feel cared for, I guess is the word I'd go for. She actually cares about my problems, asks me how my day is, and doesn't just say, "Oh, okay." She actually We can talk about my day, and it's an actual conversation, not just, "How are you?" "I'm good." "How are you?" "I'm good." And that'd be the end of it. No, we actually have in-depth conversations.
Very interesting. So you said that she cares about your problems. So it sounds like you're sharing really in-depth
If I
information.
have a bad day at work, I'll talk to her about it.
Really?
Hmm.
And what benefit do you feel like doing that gives you?
Uh, it alleviates my stress, is what I'd have to say. I mean, I can talk to the people at work or I can talk to my family, but I don't always necessarily think that they care about the problems like she does or try to improve them.
So she gives you advice
Yes, sometimes, yes.
and you feel like she genuinely is listening to you and genuinely cares.
Yes, I do.
That's beautiful. That really is.
Yeah, I really like her. She's nice, like I said. And she's also beautiful, but yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt anything, does it? Have you used other campsites?
I've made accounts on them and used them like once or twice, but Jasmine's the one I keep going back to. Uh, I tried like Cam Soda and I wasn't really a fan of it. Um, yeah, Live Jasmine's the one that I found first and kind of stuck with.
Out of curiosity, what would you say if there are any differences between the types of models that are on Jasmine and the types of models that are on other campsites you've been to?
Kind of what we've been talking about. They'll actually talk to you, whereas the other models they just are there to for the explicit content. I mean, Jasmine was always stricter, and the girls couldn't be explicit in free chat up until recently. And the girls on the other sides that they always were already half naked, and they just wanted to get you into a private show to start making money. I mean, and I'm not that's why they're there. I completely understand that, but I have to say that it's nice to actually be able to talk to somebody and not just, okay, you want to take me private, okay, and that'd be the end of that.
That's really interesting. So you feel like the models on Jasmine seem to want to or be able to build more of a relationship.
Relationship, yeah, versus just I mean, it's still a relationship, but it's different. Yeah,
A quick interaction.
yeah. There you go. That's the way to phrase it.
I'm curious, you're talking about social aspects to Jasmine where the models you interact with are able to and wanting to build more of a relationship. How would you say Jasmine compares to social media if you think it compares at all?
Um, well, I mean, you can share pictures like you would on Facebook, but I mean, obviously, they're gonna most of the time be of the more explicit sort. But the chat features, I mean, that's more of a conversation to compared to messaging somebody on like Facebook or Instagram. I mean, it's more you can actually have a conversation versus a conversation over time. Um, how else they compare, I really don't have any other comparisons, I'd say, honestly.
Earlier you talked about how your favorite model currently, if you're having an issue or a bad day, she listens, sometimes even gives you advice,
Hmm.
and you don't feel that you always have that in your day-to-day life.
Hmm.
If there's anything that comes to mind, can you tell me about a meaningful interaction you had with her or another model that really made a difference? in your day or your week or your month?
Uh, Me and my dad got in a fight, and I was really upset about it, but she was there to listen to me, and she told me to not necessarily forget about it, but just try to forget about it. And like I said, well, I work for him, so it's really easy to fight with him at day to day. So she honestly helped me get motivated to find another job. So I'm currently in the process of doing that. I'd say that that definitely made a change in my life.
Yeah, actually, it is nice to have a sounding board sometimes, someone to just
Yeah,
like,
bounce ideas off of.
yeah. And someone who's non-biased, they don't know anyone in your life.
Yeah, that's
And
nice.
right?
So they can be honest about how they feel about those people.
Do you think that the fact that the models don't know anyone in your life makes it easier for you to tell them things that you might not tell other people?
Yes, I'd say it does.
What is it about that interaction that you feel like makes it feel safer?
Well, she's in an entirely different country. Like you were saying, she definitely doesn't know anybody near here or even necessarily care about them because she doesn't know any of them. So it's just easier I can tell her everything about it versus if I was going to tell my mother about the conversation, I would hold certain things back.
Of course. So you feel like you can be more authentic.
Authentic, honest, yeah.
Yeah, and that probably feels liberating.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would feel liberated too. In fact, I do. Whenever I feel like I can communicate with someone completely honestly and not hold back at all, it just feels freeing because there are so many situations in life where you do have to hold back or restrict or for whatever reason.
bite your tongue. Yeah, you can't always tell everybody everything, but I mean, like I said, since she's farther away, I mean, it's not even that she's farther away. It's more that it wouldn't matter if she was only a state over. She doesn't know anybody here, anybody around me, so she can be honest about her opinions, and I can be honest about mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how that's an enjoyable space and experience.
I don't have any regular models besides her at the moment. I used to have more, but I mean, I like talking to her, so I talk to her.
Do you have a favorite memory on Jasmine that is non-sexual?
I'd say it would be when she started her new account, and then a couple months later, I found it because I didn't know she was going to leave her old account. So when I found her new one, I was excited to see her. That's probably my favorite, most recent memory. That was about 6 or 7 months ago.
So you thought maybe she had just left and
I didn't know what happened. I thought she either got a different job, or I didn't think that she had found a new account. I wasn't, or not found, started a new account. But yeah, she started working at a different studio, and so she had to make a new account. And yeah, I didn't know what happened to her because I honestly had tried to stop going on Jasmine right before that to save money. But then I started on it again, and about 2 months later, I found her again.
I love that. This was like a long lost friend. Like you're back.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly how it was, and I think I've talked to her every day since. Maybe not every day, but at least 5 days out of the week.
Wow. Yeah. Is there anyone else that you talk to that much?
Uh, my coworkers. I have my best friend. I talk to her, but she knows like all of my family, so I don't necessarily talk to her about everything. I mean, I talk to her about almost everything, but
Yeah. Some of those challenges that we mentioned that aren't present when it
yes,
comes to models are there. That makes sense. Being a member of Jasmine for so many years, you obviously were a member during the pandemic.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if I used it so much during the pandemic, but it was nice being able to. I I still worked,
Mhm.
so I wasn't stuck in home all day long like a lot of people were. But it's kind of like you were saying, it's still nice to be able to get um able to connect with somebody during that time.
Yeah, okay. So what you're saying is you still had that daily interaction of coworkers and all
Yes,
that. So
coworkers, customers. Yeah, I fixed people's cars, so we didn't shut down.
yeah, that's an essential business, absolutely. So you probably didn't feel as isolated or lonely that other people may have during that time.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I still, you couldn't go out after work and see your friends or anything like that. So I mean, Jasmine definitely was nice to be able to get on and still be able to talk to somebody. But I can't remember using it that much during the pandemic, like I used it more or anything like that.
Mhm. Then, pandemic aside, has there ever been a time you were, for whatever reason, feeling especially isolated or lonely, and Jasmine helped to alleviate some of those feelings?
Um, I honestly probably use it, as much now as I probably use it a little bit more now talking to her. But over the years, I probably used it as much like a regularly thing, go on it for a couple hours every other night or so. Right now I'm on it uh, probably for a few, like closer to 4 hours every night, because I can have a prolonged conversation with her on like the quick interactions.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really interesting. I can tell just by how you're describing the dynamic, there's a real connection that you made there.
Yeah,
Do
definitely is.
you, huh?
Oh,
What
go
did you?
ahead. I said definitely is. Sorry.
I love that. I love that. Do you have any other friends that use Jasmine, or do you chat with any friends about Jasmine?
No, not off the top of my head. I don't know anybody else who uses it. I met a couple other members that I talk to on occasion, but we only talk if we're in the same models chat, and it's not like I shared my email with them or anything like that to where we chat on a daily basis.
I've heard this a few times that members actually have formed connections, kind of, or friendships, some of them, by almost having this joint enjoyment of the model whose room they always see each other in.
Yeah, I would say there's at least two other members that I regularly see in her room. There's probably a couple others, but I don't necessarily pay attention. But we actually will say, oh, hey, and, when one of us says one thing, we'll give the other crap about it or something like that. We can joke together.
It's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. It really kind of is like it can be almost like this community online town
Yeah,
hall platform, I feel like, in those rooms sometimes.
yeah, it can. Yeah, especially if you're visiting the same model every other day or every day, then you get to know the other people that are also visiting her every day or every other day.
Absolutely. And you guys will always have her in common, you know?
Yeah.
So Jasmine is interesting in that most of the models that are on there are just gorgeous women.
Yes.
Really. I mean, they are just absolutely beautiful. And more or less, as a member, you're wanting to have a good experience and they want to give you that. So most of the time, you're going to have a positive experience. Has that been true for you most of the time, that your experience with the models is positive?
Yeah, I don't really have any models that I've interacted negatively with. I mean, if you're nice to them, they have no reason to not be nice to you. So, I mean, as long as you're not an asshole, they're always nice. I've seen some guys go on there and be assholes and, they get kicked from the room or whatever, but yeah, I try not to treat people like that and try to treat them with respect, so I don't have too many negative experiences with them.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, is that, I think sometimes maybe because they're on the other side of a screen and they look like goddesses, sometimes people forget that they're human beings and they also have feelings and emotions, and um, you can't just treat them as other than a human being. I'm curious though, to that point that you have had, sounds like mostly or all positive experiences with the model. Do you feel like having repeated positive experiences with these beautiful women has boosted your confidence at all?
Yeah, I'd say it makes me feel good about myself instead of down. But I mean, I'm not necessarily afraid to go out and talk to women in public. If I'm at a bar, I'll go still, if I'm attracted to somebody, I can go talk to her. But it's definitely easier over a computer screen, like you're saying. But I mean, they do help me build confidence. I wouldn't say anything otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the same thing from models that, basically hearing, members tell you how beautiful you are, how brilliant you are all the time, that also helps them build confidence too.
Well, it's nice that it's a two-way street.
Absolutely. Consistent positive interactions is something that is a confidence booster, I think, for most people, no
Yeah,
matter the dynamic.
yeah, I agree.
I kind of want to go back to what we touched on earlier, which is that there are people that look at platforms like Live Jasmine as just porn.
Hmm.
And obviously, we know that that's not the case, but from your perspective as a member, what would you say are the differences between like traditional porn and camming or Live Jasmine?
Well, I did kind of start out with that perspective, and I'd say that being able to talk to them back and forth changed that. Like you're saying, the positive interactions between us, kind of made it difficult to not treat them like a person because, after a while, you obviously are going to realize that there is another person on the side of the screen, just like there is with me and you. There's a person there, not just talking to somebody online. But I mean, when I was younger, I did start out with that perspective that I was just going on there for porn. But the talking to them back and forth, having actual conversations reinforced what you're saying. They're not just a it's not just a video you're watching. And then you can ask them if they like the same stuff you like before you go into a private session, and you're going to know that you're with somebody who likes the same things you like.
Yeah, absolutely. There's like a mutual enjoyment, a mutual bonding, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
What would you say, if anything, to people that have a negative judgment towards the models or the site?
Don't be negative to people. I mean, it's easier to be nice than it is to be negative. Like you said, there's a person on the side of that screen. You don't it, treat people the way you want to be treated, not just, oh, well, I can talk down on her because if I don't want to, I'll never see her again because she'll remember that. And if you go back in, 2 years, then she's going to be like, oh, yeah, and not give you the time of day. And I wouldn't blame her for that.
Yeah, and why hurt people for no reason?
Yeah. Like I said, treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't just, you had a bad day, go on here and talk down on somebody.
Amen. Um, I'm curious if there's anything about Live Jasmine, your experiences with the models or the industry that we haven't talked about, but you want to share.
Honestly, I think you covered everything. I mean, it's nice to be able to make a connection with somebody, even if they're, 1,000 miles away. You can still have an actual conversation. And yeah, like I said, it's just sometimes it's easier to talk to somebody who's 1,000 miles away than to go talk to your neighbor or somebody in your family.
Isn't that interesting? That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like kind of like you said earlier, freeing.
Yeah, freeing. And speaking of them being 1,000 miles away, have you gotten to know anything about the country that this model is from?
Um, I've gotten to know some of it, but she has a friend a couple countries over in Italy, and I found out that you don't eat bread with pasta in Italy. I did not know that as an American. Uh, Italy doesn't like it when you eat bread with pasta, apparently. That's something I learned about a different country, but it's not something about her country necessarily.
But she shared that with you.
Yes.
Yeah, but she's obviously in Europe. And so she was sharing
Yes.
something about Europe that
So,
she learned from a
oh
friend.
yeah. It's yeah, it's just not the country she's from. But yeah, no, it was I do learn other things. She tried to get me on the Americans call or they call biscuits, they call cookies biscuits in Europe. She thought that I didn't know that, so I was able to kind of get one over on her there because, scones, biscuits in America are not the biscuits they eat in Europe. So she tried to, when she found that out, that was a conversation we had.
Interesting. And also what I love about what you just shared is the the fact that you're not supposed to eat bread with pasta, which by the way is news to me as an American.
Yeah, I
um,
didn't know that either.
that's news to me. And I have been to Italy, but I guess I didn't know. When I now that I think about it, you're right. They were not serving me bread with that pasta, but I didn't really notice it. So this is news to me. But the example that you gave about the bread with the pasta or the biscuits, what's really cool about you sharing that is it has nothing to do with anything explicit. And I think that that's what's cool for other people to see. Like these are fun conversations that happen. It's not all explicit.
No, I don't just get on there for the explicit content. It's been quite a while since I just got on there for the explicit content. I'm not saying I'm not there for it, but I'm there for other reasons as well.
Really well said. Yeah. I think a lot of members feel that way too.
I'd have to say so, considering, like I said, there are other members that are often in her chat room and will all be in her chat room for over an hour, just, having a conversation.
Yeah, that's really cool. Really cool. I really enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much for giving us your time today and for,
It was nice talking with you as well.
yeah, sharing a glimpse into your experience, which it sounds like has been all positive. How have you ever dealt with customer support? How was that for you if you did?
One time I accidentally bought credits because the way that my phone, it was just lagging, and I pressed a button to change a payment method, and I accidentally bought like the max amount of credits, and since I didn't use them, they were able to refund them to my account immediately. Besides that, the only other customer experience I had with them was when I bought this Chromebook, and I found out that they don't offer cam to cam on a Chromebook. Yeah, I know, sad. It's okay. I do have my phone for that still, but
Okay, good. I'm glad. No, I mean, to be fair, I've interviewed a lot of members, of course, models, but also human connection experts, psychologists, and they've all said like actually that cam to cam, the face to face is very connecting for people because when you're able to make eye contact and just natural things people do, like when you're connected with someone, you'll mirror them in certain ways, and that sends signals to your brain that makes you feel connected. So it actually is a really positive feature. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't just result in one person typing and the other person talking, which I feel is not necessarily always the best way to have a conversation.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not the best way all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, like I said, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this
you're
interview.
welcome. You're welcome, and like I enjoyed talking to you as well.